Most people think overthinking means you're weak, indecisive, or overly emotional. Like there's something off about the way your mind works compared to everyone else who seems to have the magical ability to shrug, forget, and move on. Meanwhile, you're brushing your teeth and replaying a comment you made 6 hours ago, lying in bed and rerunning a conversation from last week, or walking to the store while imagining how something small could spiral into a problem. But there is something very specific happening in your brain when this starts, and it has less to do with weakness and more to do with sensitivity. We're building a platform to help people understand themselves, so they can stop fighting who they are and start building a life that actually fits. No fake motivation, just insights from Jordan Peterson and other psychologists, broken down into ideas that actually make you stronger. If this resonates with you, subscribe, leave a like, and enjoy watching. In personality psychology, this sensitivity has a name: neuroticism, one of the big 5 traits studied for decades. It's the trait most strongly linked to awareness of potential problems, threats, and self-consciousness. It describes how quickly and intensely your nervous system reacts to uncertainty. Imagine 2 people hearing a sudden noise in the bushes while walking through a forest. One assumes it's nothing and keeps walking. The other immediately becomes alert, heart rate rising, attention sharpening, trying to identify the source of the sound. For most of human history, that second person had a survival advantage. Your brain is still running that ancient software. The difference is that today, the noise in the bushes is no longer a predator. It's a strange look someone gave you, an email you haven't answered, a sentence you said that felt slightly awkward after you heard yourself say it. And the moment something feels unclear, your brain doesn't go, "Ah, well." It goes, "We need to understand this." That's where the thinking begins. Not to torture you, but to remove uncertainty as fast as possible. This is why telling someone who overthinks to just stop thinking makes no sense to their nervous system. From your brain's perspective, thinking is the solution. As Jordan Peterson often explains in his lectures, your body is constantly scanning for what it doesn't yet understand. Uncertainty keeps the stress response slightly switched on, and an alert brain thinks. This is also why your mind has a habit of pulling you backward in time at the most random moments. You're in the shower, and suddenly you're reliving a conversation from 3 days ago. You're trying to fall asleep, and an embarrassing memory from years ago appears as if it just happened. Research on rumination, especially the work of Susan Nolan Hoeksema, shows that overthinking is rarely about solving a problem. It's about trying to understand what went wrong. Your brain is trying to close mental loops it never finished. It's trying to answer a question that never got a satisfying conclusion. What exactly happened there? And what did it mean? The strange part is that the more you think about it, the less clarity you get. Studies show rumination actually reduces problem-solving ability. Your mind feels busy for hours, but nothing moves forward. You've been thinking all day, and you're still in the exact same place. According to Jordan Peterson, this is what happens when your life contains too many unresolved mysteries, too many events you never fully processed. Your brain keeps revisiting them, trying to organize your past into something that makes sense. Not because you're dramatic, but because your mind is trying to finish old stories. And this pattern doesn't stay in the past. It quietly shifts into the future. You start rehearsing conversations that haven't happened yet while doing dishes, imagining worst-case scenarios while walking somewhere, playing out outcomes while lying in bed. You think because you feel anxious, and you feel more anxious because you keep thinking, a loop that feeds itself. Anxiety research shows that this constant future simulation is strongly linked to rumination. Your brain is trying to predict uncertainty before it happens, as if it can think its way into safety. From your brain's perspective, this is logical. If you can mentally rehearse every scenario, maybe nothing will catch you off guard. But in reality, it keeps the stress response active for hours over things that haven't even happened. Here's where it becomes heavier. Psychologists have found they can predict anxiety and depression with surprising accuracy simply by measuring how often someone uses self-referential words like I, me, and my. The more attention turns inward, the more emotional pressure builds. And this is why something that sounds completely backwards actually works. You don't escape overthinking by trying to think less about yourself, because that is still thinking about yourself. According to Jordan Peterson, the way out is usefulness. The moment your attention moves toward helping someone, doing something meaningful, or focusing on something outside yourself, the self-conscious emotional tension starts to drop. And when the emotional tension drops, the thinking slows down on its own. There is another Big Five trait that directly counteracts this entire pattern: conscientiousness. This trait describes how action-oriented, disciplined, and orderly you are, and research shows a strong negative relationship between conscientiousness and neuroticism, meaning the more you act, the less you overthink. Not because you distract yourself, but because you remove the uncertainty your brain has been trying to solve. This is why overthinkers often have a quiet pile of avoided things in their life: unanswered emails, difficult conversations, paperwork, decisions you keep postponing because they make you anxious. And those avoided things don't disappear. They sit in the background of your mind, like unfinished tasks demanding attention. Jordan Peterson describes this perfectly. The problem you imagine is almost always worse than the problem you face, and the first step is usually absurdly small. Not solving everything, just opening the laptop, just reading the message, just gathering the papers. Because the moment you face what you've been avoiding, uncertainty drops. And when uncertainty drops, overthinking drops with it. But something even deeper happens. You start seeing yourself as someone who does not run from problems. And that identity shift is what reduces anxiety long term. And finally, there's a part people almost never consider. What if some of your overthinking isn't purely psychological? There is growing research linking inflammation, sleep problems, diet, and autoimmune issues to anxiety and rumination. Meaning sometimes the reason you feel constantly on edge isn't just your thoughts. It could be your physiology. Your brain and body are not separate systems. When you put all of this together, overthinking stops looking like a flaw. It starts looking like a predictable pattern that appears when you have high neuroticism, unresolved past experiences, an unclear future, too much inward attention, too many avoided responsibilities. That combination creates the perfect environment for rumination, but it also means something hopeful. You don't fix overthinking by trying to calm your mind. You fix it by understanding your past, clarifying your future, taking small daily actions, shifting attention outward, and taking care of your body. When you do that, your brain simply has less to worry about. And when your brain has less to worry about, it stops trying so hard to think, which is why just relax never worked, because overthinking was never the problem. It was the symptom.